In this video, we're going to learn something called the sum function, and basically you can get lazy and tell Excel to add up a whole bunch of numbers for you, or a whole bunch of cells. And so just like with our other math that we were doing, we're going to try to talk about things about cells by their names and not what's in them. So for example, if you're thinking about Fred, here's old Fred. In these games, he scored certain amount of points. So in game 1 he scored 12, in game 2 he scored 10, and in game 3 he scored 8. Now his total, we could do that by hand or we could do it in our brain. We could say that that is going to be 30, and we could type in 30 right here if we wanted to and be done with it. But Excel is a little smarter than that, and basically what we want to do is right around here I would like to say that I want to add up those 3 cells. Now if you'll notice, that's B3, like right here is B3, and then this cell right here is C3, and this cell right here is D3. So there's D3. So what I could do, there's a function in Excel called sum, and again we're always going to start with our equal sign, and we're going to say capital sum, all caps. It gets mad if you don't do all caps, and then I am going to use this shorthand to talk about that range of cells. And here's how you do this shorthand. You talk about where you want to start. I wanted to start right there in B3. So I'm going to say B3 colon, and then I say where I want to end. And I want to end in D3. And so that's how Excel understands a range of cells. So that says start at B3, end at D3, and I want to sum up everything in between there. I hit enter and I get my answer. Now, why would I want to do that? Because then I could get lazy. Let me unhighlight that real quick. I could get lazy and I could say right here is exactly the same scenario almost, except for it's B4 through D4. So I could type that in here. I could say equals sum B4 through D4, and I could do that again. Or the great thing about Excel is it's smart enough to understand what needs to change. So if you get your cursor right there in the bottom corner where it turns into a little bitty skinny plus sign, hold your mouse and drag. Eclipse will figure out, or Excel will figure out what it is that you're trying to do. So for example, right here, it figured out that you meant that you were talking about B6 to D6. Also, I guess I should drag this up for Bob, even though his sum is not too amazing. Bob's having a hard time. But, again, now this is dynamic. If I change all of Bob's points, watch how Bob's total changes right here. Changes with it. Now, also, you can do the sum function in several ways. Right, in this cell right here, I would like to have the sum of all the points that were scored in game 1. So I could say I want the sum of this range, which starts here, which is B2, and it's going to go all the way down to here, which is B7. So I could type in B2 colon B7. That's one way to do that. If you're feeling lazy, you can start this off and say I want the sum. Whoops, I already messed it up. Let's try that again. You could say that you want the sum, and instead of typing in the range, you could click and drag, and it will fill in the range for you. And so if I click on the top, drag it down to the bottom, throw in my final parenthesis, and it'll do it for me. And again, once I have that working, I can drag it across, and it will fill these in for me. And they are dynamic, so if that kid scored 66 points, that's mad because it's not wide enough. Now there's 122. Or if this kid messed up and scored 0 points, and this kid scored 54 points instead, all your sums update for you. And that's how you use the sum function.